Uh, Sheena, thanks for joining me today. Sheena Macal, is that how you say it? With Ivy Design Co. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. Thanks for coming on. So let's start there. Where are you at and where are you from?
All right. So I'm born and raised from New York City, Concrete Jungle.
Okay.
Um, Moved to Stamford, Connecticut when I met my husband. So yeah, I'm from my background. I'm from Peru,
Okay.
and yeah,
Okay. So you were born in Peru?
no, my parents immigrated from Peru to
Okay.
the U.S. My mom came over here when she was around maybe 15, 16.
Okay.
And yeah, we've been here ever since.
Cool.
Yeah.
So how long did you grow up in New York for?
New York till I was about 15, 16 myself.
Nice. I was just talking with someone that was from out there. How? What part of New York were you growing up at?
Queens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's got. I've heard that's pretty rough. Is it? How is it growing up out there?
Well, yeah, I grew up in the hood. I grew up in the hood. I grew up in the projects. And then at around 15, 16, my mom moved us over to like Westchester County.
Okay.
And that was a big like culture shock for me. We moved over to like Rye, New York.
Okay.
And that was Uh, has its pros and cons, definitely. Educationally, I benefited from it a lot, and that's what like pivoted me to like dive in like art, writing, like that's what like opened like broadened my spectrum for me to like I got into like sculpting, photography, and that's what like started me to get into art a lot. So yeah,
That's pretty cool.
yeah.
And do you have siblings? Did you grow up with siblings?
So I am one out of four.
Okay.
I'm the only girl, so I have two older brothers. I have one younger. So yeah,
Wow. Okay. So that must have been an experience. How was it growing up with three
oof,
brothers?
tough, tough. Well, as you know, Latino families, it's tough on the girls. Um,
Yeah.
but then you also have like your brothers are always on you, overly protective, always expecting high, expectations of you. But I don't know. I always flowed to my own rhythm. Um, Always got in trouble a lot because of that too. So that was like, um, I think I officially moved out when I was like 19. I was just like,
Okay.
all right, I'm done. I don't want to do any of this.
Were you just sick of the Latin family dynamic, or
I was just, yeah, I think that's what it was mainly. I think I got tired of like, I don't know. I was sick of like the cultural, like, tú tienes que estar en la casa, la mujer tiene que siempre estar en la casa, tiene que cocinar, limpiar, todo eso. And I was just like, I'm not doing this. I got sick of it, and I was just like, if I'm gonna do that, I'd rather do that for myself,
mm-hmm.
and that was about it.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, and I grew up, Mexican family.
Yeah.
I have actually three brothers too.
Mm.
We're all boys, right? So it wasn't until quite some time later that I realized that how much that impacts each person of that is like female in the family.
Mm.
That kind of dynamic. My mom, my cousins, my aunts. Um, so so yeah, that's pretty interesting to hear. Like from someone our age, you know.
It's hard to like break away from that, especially like when you're the only. So we have a lot of boys in my family. It's very seldom when you're like, oh my god, vas a tener una niña, and then we're like, it's a big celebration, but it's like I can only imagine like, oh my god, like she's gonna have a girl, and I'm like, hopefully like she breaks away from the generational stuff, and I'm like, so I have a daughter. I have two kids.
Yeah.
I have a boy. I had a boy first, and I have a girl.
Okay.
And I'm like, I'm on it. Like, all right, it's hard to like break out of that mental mind, the that generational mindset. Um, but me, so funny enough, so I married a Peruvian man,
Okay.
but he's half Peruvian, half Trini.
Oh, cool.
So he's like Latino Caribbean.
Nice.
And I was like, I don't know what I got myself into. But he again, he's another one that broke away from the mold. Um, he's actually into IT. He's a network. He's a senior network engineer for a hedge fund, and we're like again like steering away from the mold as well. Breaking into like STEM, and this is what we're trying to also like instill into our kids too. Like we need to like break ceilings with our kids too. Like there's more out there, especially with our son and our daughter too.
Definitely, definitely. And so you mentioned earlier, like that you it's hard to get out of that mindset. Do you catch
Mm.
yourself sometimes like doing
Oh
things that
yeah.
your mom did or your parents?
It's hard. Yeah. It's it's like so ingrained. Like it's like so I don't know. Like I don't know if you have any kids.
No.
No. Yeah. It's hard. There's just like this new age of like mom shaming, and it's like
Mm.
yeah, there's a right way of doing things and there's a wrong way of doing things, and there's just like, look, I don't know. I was raised where I was left alone half the time, and you locked. My mom like locked the door, and there was a certain knock, and tú no abrías la puerta para nadie, and you rang the door. You didn't pick up the phone for anybody, and nowadays it's like taboo,
To leave your
and
kids alone is what
like
that's what
I
you're
don't
saying?
leave my like I'm so like I have anxiety. Like I can't imagine for like, but it's like me and my husband were talking about, and we were like, the world that I was raised in, it's not the same world that we're raised in now. So it's like I can imagine that. So yeah, it's a different mindset to break out of. So yeah, I do catch myself having to like, I was like, all right, I know my mom would react that way, or other family would react that way. I was like, no, I have to take a few minutes to like reset, reflect. How is a different approach that I can take this?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool to see that. I mean, I think it unfortunately it happens like slowly, like over generations, like because I see the way my mom reacted to her mom, and then some of the things that we reacted to, like how
Mm.
we were raised. But again, like I never realized until later, like
It's ingrained,
how ingrained it was. Yeah, like
generational.
I was sitting with one of my mom's cousin one time, and she was talking about like her having a boy with her two girls sitting right next to her. Like she was just about to have a boy, and she was just like, "This is gonna be me today, my king," and like, and then her two
Her
girls,
two daughters are like right there.
yeah. And I was like, "Oh shit."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good. How old are your kids?
So my son is 9, and my daughter is turning 4.
Those are fun ages.
They're just like complete polar opposites, though.
Yeah.
They're
How
complete
so?
polar opposites. So my son is oh my god, he's turning 10 actually. He's turning 10 in June, and he's like into like Minecraft and Fortnite, and he's talking about I want to be a director of movies, and it's like I love it. Like he's like stepping into like his personality,
Yeah.
and I'm like, all right, like, we he's watching anime, and I'm like I'm letting him like. step into things that I like my parents would have not let me. Like no, it's taboo. I'm
Mm.
letting him step into things that letting him figure out things that he likes. He's talking about chakras and energies and things that he likes, and I'm like,
Wow.
oh, look at this.
Do
Look
you
at this. He's like, I want to buy candles. I want to light candles in the house. And I'm like, oh,
do you do that kind of stuff?
I do, I do, I
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
Yeah. It's really fun because it's really nice because it's having to accept the fact that they are human beings themselves and respecting their feelings and understanding that no matter how much I may not like it, I have to understand that whatever they feel, however they're thinking, I have to understand and respect their feelings and their thoughts and their processes. Even though I may not like it, but we have to come to a compromise. Okay, how can we come to a compromise? And the same thing with my daughter. We're not there yet, but she's like obsessed with me at this point right now. She's like, "Mommy this, mommy that, mommy that." I'm like, I know we're gonna get to a point where she's like, "Mom, not right now,
Yeah, that'll I guess that'll happen sooner than most parents
please."
real
Great.
think. Yeah, yeah. So like how's so what's your daughter like? What's she like to do?
I literally birthed myself. That's
Oh, really?
feisty Candela. Has no filter. Yeah, it's me with no filter, basically,
Nice.
which is like I love it.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. So she's gonna have like your personality, but
Yeah,
with the upbringing that you would have wanted.
yeah, basically feisty. Like she's like, no, I don't like that. I'm like, did she just say she didn't? I said, I would have never thought to say that to my mother or my dad or anyone.
Yeah.
And we have to respect it. Like, no, I don't like it. I'm like, all right. She doesn't like it.
There you go. Yeah, I mean it's pretty cool the mindset that parents are having nowadays with children. Like,
Yeah,
and it's kind of it's so obvious. But I remember one time my mom, I was an adult and my mom's, talking about, oh, now you're not allowed to smoke in the car with kids. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense, right? And she was like, but they're the kids. They shouldn't be able to tell me, dictate what I do in my car.
we
And I'm
were just.
like,
I was just talking. So, what kind of smoking are you talking about?
oh, cigarettes.
Okay, I thought you were talking about something else. So,
No.
so I didn't get into like smoking like weed
Uh-huh.
until 30. I turned 32 this October.
Wow. Happy birthday.
Um, I felt like it helped me tap into like my creative side recently and like
Uh-huh.
lower some like anxiety that I had. But I was talking to like my husband the other day. I was like, would you feel comfortable like rolling a blunt with like MJ like when he's of age? And he's like, yeah, I think so. And I'm like you really think so? Like I was like, eight. Like what do you think would be the age? He's like, I don't know. What do you think would be the age? We're like maybe like 18, 19. I'm like, I was like, I can't even fathom that. He's turning 10 in June. But I
Wow.
was talking to a friend the other day, and he's like, he got mad because his son is like 17, caught him smoking like weed in the house. Meanwhile, he smokes weed in the house, but like got mad at him because he got caught smoking weed in the house. I'm like, you can't get mad at him for what you're doing already in the house.
Right.
And
It's
I'm
like
like, what are you getting mad at him for?
like,
It's
yeah,
like it's
where
like
do you
you're
think I
getting
learned
mad
it
at him
from?
for what you're doing. It makes no sense.
And that's like classic parenting, isn't it? Like the parents would get mad out of like the requirement to do so, even though they know they've done it or they're
Right,
doing that same thing.
right. We've all been there. We've all done it.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I mean, yeah, and by the time he gets, of age, it's going to be probably legalized in most places,
Yeah.
and it's going to be kind of like cracking your first beer, when with
Yeah.
your parents.
When did I have my? I remember my parents like giving us sips when we were like 10, 11.
Right.
Little
Yeah, I remember being real small, like taking little swigs.
sips, and I was like, "Oh, this shit is nasty. Like, you drink this on the regular?"
Yeah. Yeah, beer was gross growing up. So growing up in New York, outside of the house, like what kind of kid were you?
Uh,
Were you like the nerdy kid, quiet kid, like outgoing, popular
so,
girl, or
oh, so high school, I was like the popular girl, dance team. I was like the life of the party.
yeah?
And then I got to college, same thing. Always like and I was like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, like, and Sunday partying it up. I don't even remember what grades I got in college, to be honest with
Really?
you.
Wow. So you did that? Is that like a result of being
So
so?
I went to I got accepted to Pace University in the city. Um, and then I don't know what they actually lost a promise my promissory note for one of my loans,
Mm,
and then they dropped me from my classes, and then from there I went to Hunter, and then I finished at Hunter College in the city, one of the CUNY schools.
okay.
I got my BA in psychology.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah, never never finished it, never did anything with it in there. Um, but then I had my son while I was in college.
Okay.
Um, but for like the first couple of years of college, I was just like partying it up. That was really it.
That's kind of the way to do it. I mean,
But no,
that's
I was pretty sheltered. I think that's
yeah,
why I was like partying it up so much.
yeah. I mean, it sounds like yeah, it sounds like you got away from home and you're like,
Yeah,
all right, now I gotta try everything. I gotta like,
yeah. But you know what? I wasn't big on like drinking and drugs or anything like that. I just wanted to go out.
yeah,
That's really what it was.
nice. And did you meet like a core friend group in college?
We had like a good like core friends, and then I'm still good friends with like a few of them, like here and there. Like I have one in Texas, one in Jersey. Yeah, we're still good friends.
Nice. And like I went to college in Indiana, which resulted in like very monolithic kind of culture.
Mm.
Um, was it like? And my parents didn't go to college, so I don't know about you, but what is it a culture shock to go to a university? Like how was the culture over there?
So I for the first year I dormed, and I don't know. I guess the difference was that I guess when I hear people about like their campus like life, it was a little bit more different because we had the whole city as our playground. Like there
Yeah.
wasn't anything that anybody can tell us. Like literally we went from one campus to the next, to Columbia, to NYU, to like, and we all like partied everywhere. It wasn't any club that it was not untouched that we didn't go, or university that wasn't untouched.
Wow.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, I never like that. That would have been such a cool experience to go to school in a big city like that.
Yeah,
So
I did it all.
wow, that's so cool. And so well, how did you decide to get into like psychology?
So psychology was always it always piqued my interest since I was in like high school. So I took AP Psych in high school. I took like all of like those major like college courses, AP like history when I was in high school, which helped me like transfer over those like college credits. Um, but it always interests me how like the human brain worked, and I always like just stuck with it. But like by the third year, I was just like, yeah, I don't think this is for me. But I was too far in it to like change my major. I was just like, I may as well just write it out.
Yeah, I feel like that's the case for a lot of people.
Yeah, I was just my counselor was just like, you're too far in. Like you may as well just write it out.
Yeah.
I was just like, all right.
No, that's pretty cool. And the fact that you're in design, it's kind of, I feel like a lot of people have both parts, both sides of that, like
Mhm.
creative, but also a curiosity into the mind and like the social element and like.
Yeah. So I definitely do use um my psych degree when I am designing someone's logo. Um, when I am like in like having a like an intro chat with a client or something, I'm asking them like, what is it that you want your logo to do when someone sees it? Like, what is it the impact? What is the goal? What is it you want someone to feel when they see it? And mostly I use that for research. What colors definitely play a big impact when someone sees it. Um, when someone sees blue or a light green, those colors like instill calmness and peace. Um, so I definitely do use like my degree to an extent when I am designing. So yeah.
That's what's up. So how did you get into like design if you graduated with psychology?
So I am self-taught, um, but I don't know if I did mention like earlier when my mother moved us to like Westchester, um, that definitely like broadened my horizon into like diving into art. So I picked up photography, I picked up like sculpting and all that. My first love was just like photography. I learned photography the old school way. Like it was literally changing our film in like a dark bag.
Oh wow.
It was like the whole dark room. We had the whole experience. It was awesome. Um, and then that just peeked over to like different areas. But then one day, like I just like sculpting, and then like when you finally like put your hands on like clay, and decide you start seeing what you can do with clay, and that just picked over to like paper and pen, and then technology took over, Procreate, and then the tablet and all that, and I've literally always drawn on pen and paper. My mom's always pushed me to like, you have like a gift. She's like, I think you need to like mature that. So she was like, yeah, okay, yeah, okay. I've never put it like until like a year before the pandemic hit. Literally 1 year before the pandemic hit, I was just like, all right, I need to like do something to help me like an outlet other than just like the gym or whatever or music. And it was just like I need to do something, and it was just like Procreate, and I was just like just figuring it out how to do it. And then I ended up figuring out like you can buy different brushes to work with Procreate and different things to do and different palettes. And it was definitely self-taught. I was frustrated a lot and learning, and um yeah.
Yeah, it can definitely be frustrating to learn these processes. People, I mean, people see like designs and they see art and they kind of like they only see the end product, right?
Right.
And so they don't think about how long it takes to
Oh
do,
no, yeah.
yeah, to learn it first of all, and then to make this piece or this design. So that's
And it's a huge difference from like drawing on pen and paper to drawing on a tablet. It's two different complete concepts. Because I can draw you something completely different on pen and paper like this, but then to learn different techniques on a tablet, an Apple Pen, and a screen, it's a different complete concept.
yeah. I was talking to someone about it. How it's an advanced like technical tool. You know what I'm saying? Like you're talking about STEM and stuff. I come from STEM field engineering. Like some of those programs are just as complicated as
Right,
Photoshop or in this
right,
case Procreate. So yeah, you're a technician with what you do.
right.
People don't think about it like that.
And you know a technique how to shade with a specific, paper and pen on pen and paper, but with Procreate or Adobe Illustrator, you need a specific brush and the specific feathering on Procreate or Illustrator for it to get the right shading. It's like pretty frustrating to have to learn all these things all over again.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, and so that's interesting. You said you mentioned that your mom said that you had a gift and kind of encouraged you.
Yeah.
Like I feel like a lot of times in Latin families the arts aren't as
Mm,
like enforced,
mm.
promoted. Do you feel like
It
that?
was more like she never really thought. Um, Even now, like when I say like I have my business, like this is something that I do for a living. Even now, it's like it's a hobby. I'm
Hmm.
like, no, 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 like this is what I do.
Yeah.
Um, but even then, like when she's like, "Oh, it's a gift. Like you should like definitely like mature it. It's a hobby. You see where it goes." And it's like, no, 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 no. Like this is what I do.
Yeah.
Um, I think more of it's so like, and I don't really blame them. I think it's definitely like they sacrifice like so much. I don't want to say them. I think like our grandparents sacrificed so much for them because the tangibility of like the title lawyer, doctor, accountant, those titles hold like status for them. Um, the idea of like an artist or a graphic designer, they haven't seen it gain status in our generation now. But for us, it's like we want comfort over status now and peace of mind now. I think that for me that's what I want. um, for me that holds more status over anything, living a more balanced work life, um, over what title I have.
Yeah, it's definitely a shift in our generation towards that, like having either work life balance or having a more fulfilling role. Although I do see a lot of like title chasing in my generation still,
Mm.
but no, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So when did you decide? So was it right after college that? What did you do right after college then?
For 15 years, no, 14 years, I worked in hospitality.
Like a hotel?
I managed and I ran restaurants and hotels
Oh wow.
all along the Northeast. Like I have a very extensive like if I ever decide like I don't want to like pursue my business anymore, that
Mhm.
would be my fallback. Um, but I would never do that again because that would be like suicide.
Wow.
I don't miss it. But for yeah, for 14 years, I managed and ran restaurants and hotels
That's
all
pretty cool.
along the Northeast. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And that's like usually they're under like one like group conglomerate, right? Or how did you how does that how does that work?
Well, it depends. You have like hotels, which like
Mhm.
function completely separate, and then you have restaurants that are completely separate. It's definitely like hospitality. They all fall under hospitality because it's like a customer service based. But I always held a management position always, whether it was like general manager or whether it was supervisor or whether it was a pub manager or anything like that. When I worked in hotels, it was definitely like a front desk supervisor, or I worked in one of like the restaurants inside of the hotels, or I was director of events that definitely like ran the events within the hotels. When I just worked in restaurants, I worked for chains of restaurants. So yeah,
Yeah. That's definitely an industry that I never wanted to get into like the like hospitality and like yeah,
that's
service.
I could get into that, but that would probably be a no whole other episode. So I don't even want to get into that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Do you,
not privy for women, and it's not privy to people who like want to start a family.
they got you working a lot of hours in there, huh?
80, 90 hours, like
Jeez.
yeah.
So do you want to share any like horror stories or like really cool success stories or no?
Um, I would say that like you meet some pretty awesome like team like people, like you build like strong relationships with, like friends and stuff like that. um most like most of like the server wait staff like industry get really bad, like industry people get really bad reps because like people like supposedly sleep with one another.
Mm,
It's really bad. um yeah, it's a very like ego ran like industry.
mm. So everyone's kind of fooling themselves, kind of trying
Yeah,
for the top or whatever.
yeah. It's very like it's you have to have like a tough skin to like get to the top. It's you have thick skin. Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, I can only imagine. Um, yeah, I could only imagine. So, is there a lot of like service industry and psychology? I feel like a lot of that can go towards running a business. Is there things that you brought
Oh
over
yeah.
from? Yeah, like
Definitely like you can't be like impulsive. You definitely like have to like always take a moment to like reflect. How are you gonna react? It's a lot of like situational things like it's always like on the situation, always on the moment. How would you react? How would you like, because you never know what the day may bring. You can always plan like the agenda. This event's gonna happen. This event's here. This event's day. This time from this time this is gonna happen. But it literally what the industry is like putting out little fires. Like
mm,
it's someone lost the ring. Someone's dog got loose. Someone's cat pissed here. They weren't supposed to have a cat in the room, and like it's always something that wasn't supposed to happen. You got to plan to do that. Like always something.
yeah, I
It's
bet.
always something. It's always something.
Yeah, does that like I feel like sometimes you get wired for that kind of thing. Do you kind of miss it ever? No.
No, what I tell you. So like we go out to restaurants now. and I'm like more empathetic to the staff. I'm always like a big tipper. I've always been like a big tipper, but like even now, I'm like, if my food comes late, my food comes late.
Yeah.
It's just like just go with the flow.
Yeah, I'm definitely
But
in that
I'm
mindset
also
too.
like I always like like if we're going somewhere like I don't know. I always like if the food comes late, the food comes late. But like I always is like it also is like how the server delivers the message. Don't always like you get what I'm saying. Like it's the tact and how you deliver it. Also,
So
customer
you're
service.
yeah, so you have some leeway, but you also have a respect for their their
Right.
like craft, and you don't
Right.
like to see if they're doing
Right.
bad. Yeah.
Right. Like what was it like for my husband's birthday? We made the reservation. I'm very like I don't know, you could see me be type A personality. I'm very like organized. So I like scheduled everything ahead of time. Very like made the so his birthday was like April 30th. I made the reservation like 3 weeks ahead of time. The day of oh, and I specifically asked for like a specific server to be in this server section. Um we the day of we get there, they're like, yeah, we're not gonna sit you there. Meanwhile, like an hour before we get there, I called, hey, just want to confirm my reservation. Um, just want to make sure that we're going to sit in said person section. And they're like, yeah, everything is good. You guys are all set. Don't worry about it. We'll see you guys soon. Awesome. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. We get there. They're like, yeah, you're not going to sit there anymore. We've decided to move you. And they're like, tough cookie. I'm sorry, what? All right, well, I'm going to have to ask to speak to the manager. I said specifically manager. I don't know why I didn't say the GM. So they brought me like the bar manager.
Oh.
So he's like, yeah, well, did you make the reservation like now or yesterday or? I'm like, no, I made the reservation 3 weeks. Well, did you request like the server recently or 3 weeks ahead of time? It doesn't matter, but I was like, I'm sorry, what?
Mm,
And I was like, I don't know what you need to do, or I'm gonna have to ask for the general manager because this is not gonna end very well.
yeah. Jeez.
And he was like miraculously in like 5 minutes the table was ready.
Of course.
I was like, oh, I was like, yeah, miraculously 5 minutes. Yeah,
Some like it kind of seems like people with just the slightest bit of power like to have like a little power trip sometimes, doesn't it?
it's just like it's like I did my part. Why can't you guys just deliver?
Right. Like you were trying to like you played by all the rules,
Right.
and someone just decided to try to flex at the last minute
Oh my god.
for some unknown reason.
But
Jeez.
like 5 minutes, like it was less than 5 minutes. The table was like ready. They're like, we're so sorry. We're so sorry. Yeah, the table's ready.
That's so weird. People are weird.
Right. But no,
Man,
I don't miss it. It's a mental drain.
I bet. I bet. And so did during while you were working there, you're working a lot of hours.
Yeah.
What does your husband do?
Um. So I didn't meet my husband until 2015.
Oh, okay.
So so I was a single mom for about 4 years, and then I met my husband, and then we married, and so about for maybe 2 years of our relationship, I was just like constantly working, like late, those like night graveyard shifts. He would sometimes come and visit me. He was the husband who would benefit from the free food and uh, come and visit me, pick me up late at night, and then like 6 months later, boom, I got pregnant with our daughter.
Nice.
And then I was just like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I was just like, we need to find. He's like, he's like, no, you're right. Like, I was like, I kind of want to spend more time with our daughter. So I was just like, all right, what are we gonna do? I was like, I need to find something that's either like 9 to 5, or do I need to do something? So like my mind like kept brewing and brewing. Like, do I work for myself? Do I just start our own business? Like, do I just hone my skills? He's like, listen, you have my 100% support in whatever you decide you want to do. He's like, it's really up to you. He goes, you have to decide whatever it is that you want to do. So what I did was I decided, all right now it's just time to just stack money. Worked my entire pregnancy to the very last day. Um, we stacked. We got our house in Stamford, Connecticut. So that was like secured, our home, so we didn't have to worry about like rent or like moving. And then once that was secured, I was just like, all right, what is it that I want to do? Do I want to like design? I said, I need to hone a skill. And he was like, what is it that you want to do? I said, do it. So I asked him, I said, since you're in IT, should I go back to school? Should I do something? He's like, listen, I'm gonna be 100% frank with you. What they really do look for is certifications nowadays, and whether or not you're taking the time to like continue to educate yourself consistently and like brush up on those skills. And I was like, oh, okay. I said I didn't really know that. He says you already have your BA in psych, which is a big plus. Like it shows that you went to college already. But you can continue to get like your certifications. Like you're gonna have to drop some money on these certs, but it's really up to you. Um, but you can either hone your skill in graphic design and coding or whatever it is that you want to do. So I was like, all right, well, what's the least expensive route? And he says, I'm gonna be honest with you, it's probably gonna be graphic design. And I was like, all right, well, that's probably what's gonna be it. So we had our daughter in September of 2018, and I took that time off. I was probably maternity leave for like 7 months. Took that time off, and I just stood home with her and honed that skill of graphic design. So I learned literally Photoshop, I learned Adobe Illustrator, I don't even know how many programs I learned then and there. But I literally just took the time to focus on her and always focus on like my mental like health as well, and also just honing my skills then and there. And I also had his support and just like learned.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So you took a like time to learn. So that was 2018,
Hmm.
and so when did you get to a point where you started like promoting to do
So what
work
I started doing was,
jobs?
so 2019, um I just started doing like pro bono like logos to get a little bit more comfortable, for friends and family mainly. um Asking people like, hey, I didn't even like, I just had my Ink Temple like Instagram, and just posting like, hey, if anyone needs a logo, let me know. I'm just doing them for kind of free just to get the practice. And people just like kept asking me like, hey, what is it that you kind of see? And then people just kept hitting me up like, hey, oh, hey, can you design like a little invitation, my baby shower invitation? Or can you design this? Or can you design like, what was it? I'm drawing a blank right now.
Oh, like a
Like,
background.
the profile screen. The People wanted like custom profile screens, and they were like they wanted like
Oh,
elaborate ones, and I was just like, okay. And I was just like, all right. So just to get the practice, I was just like designing, just getting more comfortable with it. And then people started asking for like Photoshop stuff, like, oh, can you remove this background, and can you? I kind of want to like edit this person out of this picture, and I was just like, oh, okay. I was like, all right. Someone broke up with this person. I was just like, all right.
Yeah.
Um, and then to 2019, before like the pandemic hit, and I was just like, all right. I said, like, unbeknownst to us, I was just like, I think it's like time to start. Like, let's do this.
Nice. So did it help like so while you're doing all these like pro bono stuff,
Mhm.
um are you learning along the way just like YouTube and
Yeah.
stuff, or like what was your main source of like learning content? I know there's Skillshare out there nowadays and like master class and like all these different kinds of
Honestly, it's trial and error.
really.
It's literally try like you have YouTube and you have like, but a lot of things are like what you see on YouTube has been like updated in 2018 and 2017, but there have been updates to Adobe Illustrator and to Procreate or Photoshop, and the the dashboards don't look the same,
Mm-hmm.
and it's frustrating to me because I'm more of like a visual learner, and if it doesn't look the same there, I'm gonna get like confused and
Mm,
frustrated. Um, so at the same time, it's like it's trial and error.
yeah. Sometimes that's the best way to learn.
Yeah,
And so did it help like all those friends and family, did it help then to have like a big family now and like all your friends from college is it that is
yeah,
yeah.
they're like super grateful, and then like once like I establish, right, this is like what it is that I want to do, my mind just started like brainstorming. Okay, how can I turn this into something more?
Yeah, that's really cool. And so you say, all right, this is the point that we're going to do this. How do you then start, how does that switch from what you're doing with your friends to now like it's a business officially?
But, well, officially, like when it hit, is because COVID hit.
Okay.
That's so I was just like, all right, it's time to hustle. So at that time, I was working at a country club. I was managing actually like a country club, and like unrealistically, like in Connecticut, in like the upper like sticks of Connecticut, it was a country club de la gente que tiene dinero,
Mm-hmm.
and they weren't really like adhering to like the COVID safety rules.
Uh-oh.
And every day it was like someone was getting sick, but they were still allowing them into the club, and I was uncomfortable. I kept like putting these concerns to like my higher ups, and they were just like, oh well, you just gotta deal with it. And I was just like my daughters like at that time, my in-laws are living with me. My in-laws are like elderly. My kids were home. I was just like, and I was the only one that was going out and out and into. So I was literally the one that was like exposing myself, and I kept saying to myself, if something happens, and I'm the one that like contracts and brings it, I said, I'm gonna feel like the most crappiest person alive. And I don't know what happened. Something happened that I was just like, I quit. I said, this is it. I said, and my husband said, no. My husband said, no, you're done. That's it. He says, you're quitting. Like, this is, I remember what happened now. We had a hurricane warning, and they told everyone at the country club to stay home for the following day. And they already told me, don't come into like for the following day. And I was like, all right, cool. Text my husband. They're like, they told me not to come in tomorrow, but I'm still getting paid. So the day like continues, and then so mind you, this country club is like getting run by like a board by a bunch of board of directors. This one member on the board tells me, "You have to come in tomorrow." And I said, "Excuse me?" And I said, I've already been told by my superior, who I directly report to, that I'm not coming in tomorrow because there's a hurricane warning. It's not going to be safe. He goes, "Well, you still have to come in tomorrow." And I was just like, "All right, well, you guys clearly don't care about my safety." And I was just like, this is it. I'm done. Hurricane happened. 4 trees fell down. Telephone poles fell down. Electrical poles came down. Um, like so it's a country club. All the boats were like flipped over.
Oh wow.
So like it was like they didn't have electricity for like 2 weeks. So there was literally no need for me to be over there. God forbid what would have happened, but like that whole part of that town didn't have electricity for like 2 weeks.
Jeez, that's crazy. And that's
And
like,
I was just like, my husband was just like, "You're done." Like, I don't know who he thought he was, but they just lost their best employee. And I was just like, "I'm done."
hell yeah. No, I mean, that's when you realize like some of these people, they don't really understand that they don't understand. Yeah. Corporations and business, like corporations, they don't care, first of all. And then it's like companies are made of people
Yeah.
and they're there to serve other people. So if you're out there causing harm, like danger for people, that's not really how.
Yeah, I was just like, what's more important, like this job or like like when you really think about it, like when you politically put it, I'm the most important. Like I don't want to be like sound like I'm the most important component to my family. And he says like, God forbid something were to happen to you. He goes, I don't know how I'm going to raise these kids. And he goes, it's a job. He goes, money's going to come and go. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And
So is another job.
he goes, we'll figure it out. He goes, we'll just yeah, lo que va a pasar pasa. He goes, there's no point in us stressing about money when it's just going to come and it's going to go. He goes, you're smart, you're beautiful, you'll probably just scam some job and you'll probably just like end up getting the job right then and there. And trust me, like I quit 2 weeks later, like I put in my 2 weeks. Everyone was shocked when I put my 2 weeks in and they were just like you're quitting, Sheena? Like, are you serious? I was just like, I'm done. And they kept telling me like, can you please stay? Can you please stay? Can you? And I told them, if you want me to stay, okay, these are my boundaries. And they were like, well, we don't know if we can do that. I was like, well, I don't know if I can stay then.
Jeez. People.
And they were like, okay, well, if you guys can't respect boundaries, I don't know if I can stay then. And like it's simple boundaries too. And the what I had asked for was like I only report to one person, which was my direct person that I reported to. I don't follow like board of directors. I don't follow, you know, instructions from everybody. I only report to one person. And they're like, well, we don't know if we can. I was like, okay, well, I don't know if I can stay then. I was just like, this is ridiculous. So I quit in 2 weeks, and they kept calling me for like days after. I was like, guys, listen, I love you guys. You know, we're close, yes, but I'm gonna have to invoice you guys for any extra help after this. Like I said, I ran the place. They didn't hire anybody else after that. That's how poorly ran it was. I can't hear you.
Oh, my bad.
Oh, now I can hear
Yeah, I have this little mute button.
you.
I hit it anyway. So did they end up calling you and paying you
They
an
kept.
invoice?
I think they kept calling me until I'll tell you right now. She kept texting me until 2 weeks ago.
Wow. And they paid invoices since then? Have you been invoicing them?
She's been asking like, "Oh, just how are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm fine." It's like trying to like squeeze it in there, and I'm like, "I'm fine."
Yeah. Jeez, people are crazy. That's another like little like power trip. You know, they're abusing their power on other people, and it's crazy. People get a little bit of power and they get fucking nuts.
I tell people to invoice people. You quit, and they keep asking you for help out. Invoice them.
Oh yeah, and you could do it on Square nowadays. Like you just log on, like create a Square account for free, invoice
Square,
anyone you
Stripe
want.
also. Stripe
Stripe,
also.
yep.
Invoice people.
Hell yeah, that's what's up. And so that's when you decided to. That's when it kind of like pushed you to take it full time.
I was just like, "Let's do it." My husband was like, "Let's do it."
Nice. So how was like how was that process? When who was your first client after quitting?
I was nervous. I don't know why I was nervous too. I was so nervous. I think it was just like my first. It was a dog walker. He has no. It wasn't. I'm sorry. It wasn't dog walker. It was like a doggy daycare,
Hmm.
and he came to me and he was just like, he goes, I've had my business for a little bit over a year now, but I don't have like a legitimate logo. And I was like, what is it that you're looking for? Like, are you looking for like a cartoon? And he's on my business page. He's called like Pet Haven,
Hmm.
and kind of sending me screenshot. And it's really I kind of hate Pinterest because of this. So people are scrolling on Pinterest and they kind of like look at what they like. They're like, I kind of want to look like something like this. I'm like, okay, well, this is somebody else's logo. And I'm like, can you kind of give me like artistic freedom here and let me like give you something so I can wow you? Um, so he gave me like screenshots of like kind of what he was liking, and I took bits and pieces of what he was looking at. He wanted his dogs like incorporated in his logo. Um, so yeah, I did that, and so he wanted his photo in his logo, his like portrait in it, and yeah, his it's Pet Haven. Let me see if I can bring it up here. I must have did like so with my first client, I was able to like learn how to like set boundaries and like revisions and all that.
That's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah. So
That's
with
really
the first
nice.
client, I guess you learn too, because when you're doing it for friends, like you kind of like want to make your friends happy, but like now that you have like your first client, you kind of start like, okay, like you have to put boundaries, how many revisions you can put, because like your time is just as valuable, and people you can't keep making revisions over and over to like set you like either you like it or you don't. Like this is what it
Right.
is. Um, what else did I learn with my first client? And this is your price. Like this is your price. Not everyone's going to be your target audience. You cannot feel ashamed about your pricing. You have to know what your worth is. And if someone doesn't like your pricing, then they weren't your target audience.
Right. Yeah, that's something I think every creative like business person has to get over because they're like, I feel like all I don't know, for me personally, and I've heard it from other creatives, like doubting yourself about you like, oh, I'm just starting off, or like, oh, maybe I'm not at that level yet, or maybe, so on and so forth. And you've already done so much stuff for free, it sounds like. So it's
Yeah.
like, all right,
But like I said, it's different like when you're doing it for friends and family.
oh yeah.
So it's like it's different when you say like Okay, I'll do this for you. Oh, sure, I'll do it for you. Of course. Oh, sí, no ningún problema. Like, but then boom, you have your first client, and I'm telling you, I don't know why I was so nervous, and and it was a DM on Instagram,
Yeah.
and I was so nervous.
Well, it's something new. It's okay to be
Yeah,
like
dude, that's what it
nervous,
was, and
right?
I was just like, oh my god, this is my first client, and I was just like, all right, let's do it.
That's what's up.
And I must have done like 8 revisions,
Oof.
and ya me estaba llegando hasta acá. And I was just like, ya me estaba llegando. What's the saying? My who says it? My grandpa used to say it. Me estaba hinchando las bolas. That means the point.
Yeah.
And I was like, he's getting there to that point. And then by like the seventh revision, he's like, all right, it's looking awesome. Can you just do this? I was like,
Oh
this is
god.
the final one. And then so by like by like by that by having my first client, I think I like implemented like contracts. Implemented like boundaries. I implemented um like creative, whether or not I was gonna have like create copyright control over the or whether I was gonna sign off all creative control to the client. You start doing like research, terms and conditions, things like that, to protect yourself. More so importantly, and then looking into registering yourself as I looked into registering myself as an LLC specifically.
Yeah. And did you do that? Are you
I did.
nice?
Yeah.
Nice. I still haven't done that yet. For me, I got one of those EINs because you could like in
That's
Texas.
still yeah, it's still
Yeah.
awesome though. So I looked into getting that. I did it through Zen Business.
Hmm.
They were only like $49.
Wow. Okay.
It took a little longer because it was the cheaper plan, but it only took like maybe 3 weeks. I think it was like 5 weeks.
That's what's
If you're
up.
not right, if you're not really in a big rush,
Yeah.
like 49. So it was $49 for them to do it, but you still have to pay the state fee. So it's
Oh. Okay.
49 bucks, and the state fee for Connecticut was like 120, no matter what. So they don't like profit off of the 120.
Nice.
So you get that, and it was done in like 5 weeks because I wasn't really in a big rush. So I got that squared away, and it was just like, all right, perfect, let's do it. And so with once you get that, you have your EIN. Then you can qualify for your sales. I'm able to qualify for the sales tax permit in Connecticut.
Nice. Heck yeah. And so all the stuff you learned with your first client, and now you have this extensive contract and stuff like that. And so now do you feel more comfortable,
Oh
like,
yeah,
yeah, just
yeah.
like
There's
telling them what's up?
there's no ifs, ands, or but. This is my price. You don't like it? Oh well, goodbye. Like
Nice.
tough
Nice.
cookie.
Heck yeah. And how do you get clients nowadays? Where do they come from
A
most of the
lot
time?
of it actually is referral. A
Oh,
lot of
cool.
actually is word of mouth. People actually like see my portfolio, or they'll actually really don't. I don't know. For me, I really don't put my work out a lot on my Instagram.
Yeah.
People are actually a lot of biters out there.
Oh, they'll just copy it and sell it to someone else?
I've seen people do it. Like they'll just screenshot and be like, "Here, this is what I did."
Oh,
Um.
wow.
So and for me, that's like really I don't. It doesn't sit right with me. So that's why I'm very iffy about not putting my stuff out on like Instagram or even my. Sometimes I put it on my website because that's like where a lot of my professional like people will visit. Like, let me see if she's legitimate. They'll visit your website. They'll be on my website.
I see. Nice. Yeah. Website is a powerful
Oh
tool.
yeah, that's a big like turnkey for people. They're like, oh, let me see if she has a website.
Definitely. And so I see that you offer web design services nowadays. How did you get into that?
Um, so with my own little obstacle, building my own website was like that was like a mountain to climb. I started off on Squarespace. I hated Squarespace. I'm gonna say that right now.
Me too. I don't know why people like
Hate
it.
it. No, wait. Let me rewind. I started
Yeah.
off on Wix.
Oh, that's worse, huh?
Hated Wix. Hated. What if I could like put a disclaimer for people? I'd be like, don't do it. Like, don't do it. Don't do it. So Wix, don't do it. Don't do Squarespace. Unfortunately, I had already bought my domain on Squarespace.
Mm.
So because I had recently just bought the domain, I couldn't transfer it over.
Oh, wow.
It's just like, ugh, crap. So I had recently had just bought it, and I was just like, all right, what am I gonna do? So do I want a WordPress, or am I gonna offer more services, like tangible services? Um, so I was looking more into like offering like custom shirts, more engraving services. Um, so then I looked into Shopify, and it was between Shopify and Big Cartel,
Mm.
and kind of turned off by Big Cartel because of their fees,
Yeah.
and then it was Shopify,
Yeah.
and Shopify kind of like fit in with like their affordable like monthly price, and their themes and the coding was something that I could do, and WordPress, so WooCommerce, which is like what WordPress is the e-commerce for. I kind of didn't like what WooCommerce was, is because you have to pay for every integration,
Mm.
and I kind of don't really like that.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, so Shopify is the winner. So with Shopify, that took me, I think, maybe like 5 revisions,
Yeah.
and I didn't launch until maybe like 4 months later.
Really? Wow.
It took me like, and I'm a perfectionist.
Yeah.
Like I'm like I tell you, type A, perfect. It has to be perfect. Um, but within that time, like you start learning, like, and so within those 4 months, like I think I went down like the rabbit hole of like what coding was. I don't know if you know what these courses that you can buy. It's I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. It's Udemy.
Yeah, I've heard of them.
So you can buy like these courses, and they take you down like they're like self-paced courses, that you can buy for like $9, $10, $12. Self-paced courses that you can learn all about coding, which I thought was pretty amazing. I was just like, this is kind of like really awesome. And I'm all about like I said, I'm all about like broadening my horizons. Um, so within those 4 months, I literally just we're in a pandemic at this point, and I'm just like, all right, let me just go down the rabbit hole. I'm up at 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning now, like this. My husband's like, "Are you gonna go to bed?" And I'm like, huh, "What?"
Wow.
um, and I just like picked up the skill, and I was just like, so I did maybe like 2 pro bono sites for a few people, um, and they were just close friends. And they loved it. They were like, no, they're like, you should definitely offer it. Like you, I think I did it within maybe a week. They're like, yo, people offer it. People take longer than this.
Oh yeah.
I was like, really? They're like, no, you should have seen the quotes that they have put in for other people. I was like, really? Why does it take that long? They're like, well, it depends on how many clients that they have or how many other people they're managing.
Mm.
And that's where I started doing research, also like quoting, um, what can you offer, whether it's ongoing maintenance or support, things like that. And so then I started deciding what is it that I want to really offer. Do I really want to offer like ongoing support maintenance, or do I just want to really stick with e-commerce? So I think I decided I just want to stick with e-commerce. It's something that I really do, am more a bit more comfortable with.
Yeah,
So that's what I decided to just stick with.
that's pretty cool. Yeah, the coding side, I haven't gotten into it. I want to, and I took coding in college, so I have a good base, but it's just I haven't pushed myself to learn that stuff. And I had gotten into Webflow,
Mm,
which have you heard of Webflow? Webflow, yeah, and that one is pretty cool in that you I didn't have to do any code, but if I did, it would complement that very well. So
right.
that's pretty cool that you taught yourself that.
It's frustrating at first because you're like, what the hell is this? It's like a different language, and I always, it's funny enough because I used to always joke on my husband. Again, he was like the IT person in the house, and I used to hear him talk like the IT jargon,
Hmm.
and I'd be like, "Can you just speak to me in straight English? I don't even know what it is that you're talking to me about."
Yeah,
Now I completely like understand what it is that he's talking about now,
yeah.
and but it's like when you go and you teach yourself honestly a complete different language, it's just like wow. Um, and it's frustrating because it's like when you miss like a period or a different bracket, or it's like, oh my god, it's so frustrating. What did I miss?
Hmm.
Um, and then you again when you get your first client, and when you like, what do you do? And it's pretty exciting. And then I was nervous for my first client. My first client was actually a doctor, actually.
Oh wow, cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. He's actually my chiropractor, and um we just got to talking. He's just like, listen, like, um I'm needing this, and it's like, yeah, as if you want me to look at your website, I can kind of help. Um, he had a WordPress, and from like overnight, it just like crashed,
Mm.
and he's like, this is bad. I need to, like, I literally have no website now. Um, I was just like, yeah, you need to decide what it is that you want to do. He's like, I need a website. And I was like, all right, well, this is my price.
There you go.
He's like, all right, here's the money. And I was
There you go.
like, okay. But no, he was easygoing. He was easygoing. He didn't have any like high demands or anything like that. And he was just like, I kind of wanted to look like my old one, and I kind of wanted to look like this. And I offer him like ongoing support. It's quarterly because I don't really have to offer like major support like on the go. But I think he's moving soon, so he may want to do like a whole revamp again. But there's a contract in place already, and he pays me quarterly.
Nice. Yeah, that's a cool thing about website design is that you can offer that
And
maintenance.
then I have like a few more clients that I have like upcoming as well. Like I have an author, and then I have another e-commerce coming up that I have to build out too.
That's really cool. That's awesome. And so all of these clients are through word of mouth too.
All word of mouth.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And so like does it still sounds like you're getting a lot of clients. Does it get kind of hectic to manage all of these projects? No.
I think like I'm speaking from a pace a place of privilege. Um, I'm able to schedule my clients out the way that I want them to, and I tell them, all right, well, this is when I first get the first inquiry. I tell them, all right, well, this is what my timeline is. It's 2 weeks out. This is what the first mock-up is. This is what the price out is, depending on what it is that you're looking for. It all depends on what it is that they're looking for. I don't ever want what I do to ever make me feel overwhelmed. So I always like have everything to a point where I'm like never overwhelmed.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's good that you know that like at this stage, because you're pretty much just starting out. Like so people who a lot of times who are starting out, they don't know how to like set those boundaries, how to set those schedules, and like
Yeah.
tell people like, look, this is how much it's going to take, and I'm not pushing it faster than that. And if you did want me to go faster, this is how much more
Right.
you're
That's
gonna
why
charge.
I always tell people like I think in our day and age now with the internet literally at our fingertips, type it into Google. What you look at what your competitors are doing, look at what your competitors are offering. Everyone is like there's pricing guides on there. People who want faster servers are offering an upcharge. Um, Website builds literally go by page. Like if you want multiple pages, go by multiple like. But I think what I definitely like want to express to people is stop undermining yourselves. Like know what you're worth, know what you bring, like be confident in what you bring to the table. Because and stop comparing yourselves. Because I used to do that. Oh man, like I used to look at other people's work and I used to be like, oh, I wish I could like what I do is never gonna be compared to what somebody else does.
Yeah,
It's we have two different styles. It's just different.
and that becomes an endless cycle because you can always
Yeah,
find something that's someone that designs differently than you and try to compare, and then it's an upward, like it's an endless cycle.
like I said, it's down the rabbit hole, and it's just
Yeah,
like we always like comparing each other, and but we're just two different people. We're two different styles, two different types of art styles. It's just
yeah. That's like the key to happiness. I feel like once I stop comparing myself to people,
mhm,
I really, really, you know, set myself free from a lot of like stress and anxiety that's
yeah.
unnecessary.
And like my husband's telling like, and this is what my husband's telling me. Like he said, you should definitely like offer like your freelance photography up, and I'm like, you like just want me to like, well, so like I said, my first love was like photography.
Hmm.
So like I have a very extensive like portfolio of my photography, and he's just like, just offer it, and I'm like, you just don't want me to be home ever. He's like, that's not
Yeah.
what I'm saying. He's just like, I was just like, oh wow. I was just thinking about it. Like, I don't know if I want to, but maybe I should. But that's another thing. Like, I was doing that the other day, like looking at other like photographer.
Hmm.
I just have a different style.
Yep.
I just like I don't like editing my photography, my work a
Mhm.
lot. I like more of an unedited, more untouched look. But there's photographers who like going for that more like unblemished, more like that baby skin look, and it's just like that doesn't do it for me.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and that's like you said, everyone has their own style, and it's something. If you're gonna end up doing that,
Mm.
that's something that you could charge extra for. Like,
Right.
but at the same time, that takes a lot of time. You have to go to their event.
That's
You gotta hang out at their
that's one thing
wedding.
I hate. Like you love the craft, but then you gotta sit, then you gotta edit.
Yeah. And then you gotta like, yeah. I don't know. I never. Did you do like wedding photography, or when you were
I
doing
used to do
photography?
maternity photography,
Oh,
like
maternity.
maternity
Okay.
shoots,
Yeah. So you got to set up the whole area,
like
like the
the lighting,
lights.
and it's like, oh my god, and it's just like I understand like that's such like again I was like a unexpected mother before, and I know it's such a crucial time and a special moment. Coño, hijo.
Yeah, it's got to be a tough client.
And then
Yeah.
I was like watching, like, I don't know why I came across it, like the newborn like the ones who have to like position the newborns a specific way.
Mm,
I was just like, I don't know how they do it.
yeah.
And then I was watching the bloopers where they just poop all over the set, and I was
Oh,
just like, oh, or pee, and I was just like,
yeah. No, it's definitely a very specific set of problems for that kind of photography.
I was just like, I'm good.
No, that's cool. That's good. That I mean, you have the option to do photography if you wanted to, but it sounds like you
I
might have
think
to
I'm
set
good
that
for right
boundary.
now.
Yeah.
I'll think about it.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's really cool. So do you ever see yourself if you like start getting more and more, do you ever think about hiring people or like
So
free
yeah, I was
yeah.
my husband and I were like talking. Well, I don't know about hiring. Um, I definitely do want to bring. Um, I was thinking about starting like a nonprofit. Um, I do believe like young entrepreneurship is not really pushed amongst like brown and blacks, especially around like underserved communities. Like I feel like it's so ingrained in us. Like you have to go to college. You have to like get a college degree. You have to do this. It's like it's never pushed to us to like, why don't you start your own business? Why don't you like build the skills to like start your own business? So it's like literally been like in the back of my mind to like start a nonprofit. Um and I want to start it in Stanford specifically, and I want to like reach branch it out to the schools here, but to create a space for like juniors and seniors and even for like, young college students to have a space to like build and like start like their their businesses, whether it's like printing their own labels or like engraving their own like cups or pressing their own shirts or things like that,
Yeah, that would be cool. And how
or
would
like building I'm sorry, learning how to code their own website so that they can sell their shirts.
yeah, there's so many skills that you can learn on the internet and start your own business, but to like you said, to underserved communities, it's like get a job, if that, go to college, if that is,
Mhm.
if anything,
Right, the
there's,
resources to go to college.
and they barely provide that.
Right. They never like they tell us go to college, but like that's to
How?
survive college, the books, the shelter, then everything else that comes after that.
Yeah, yeah, it's really, there's a lack of education in all those directions in this. So that would be really cool. That would be a really cool endeavor.
Yeah, I've been researching it. Apparently, I had a call with like a nonprofit like company who helps like form nonprofits. I have to have like a board of directors.
Yeah, and you, did it have to be like approved or anything? You could just pick whoever, right?
Yeah, but I don't want to have anybody on the board because apparently, if you have a board of directors, you it takes like a vote to remove somebody off that board of directors.
Mm,
So it's like I have to be very so I have to have like a secretary, a treasurer, and like a VP. So like three more people.
nice. I see. Well, I mean, it's only three people, so I mean, just finding the right ones.
Finding the right ones. Yeah, I know.
But no, but if you ever did do that, that would be, I would really, yeah, be curious to see that. I
It's
think,
it's it's been sitting at the back. It's been like like the scratch at the back of your mind.
yeah,
I'm I'm gonna do it. It's gonna be called the Ivy Creative Collective.
There you go. Hey, I like that. I like that. That's cool. Yeah, that's. I mean, it's too much, too, I guess, common that these educational endeavors are for profit, and they're just always trying to turn a buck, and it's like it's furthering the whole concept of poor underprivileged and impoverished people are already lacking in education. Now the world's changing so fast that we have to change that model, and
Right.
so nonprofit is definitely a great way to do that.
Not yet. Like my vision for it is like huge.
Heck yeah, that's the cool thing about being a creative. Like,
Yeah.
you can have these big visions, and then you can go and do it. Like, that's what you're doing. You're creating something
Like
out of
the
nothing.
space is gonna be like there's gonna be like a floor for like recording, like like there's young adults who like want to record, but on the other side, like what is the business aspect of like recording or podcasting? And then
Yeah,
on another floor, there's like photography and the visual arts, like what goes into that. And then on another floor, there's going to be like the admin stuff, like computers and the engraving and like the technology like aspect of things.
hell yeah, that's really cool. Ivy Creative
Creative collective.
Collective. Heck yeah. No, that'd be really cool. And do you do like you do all the engraving and crack cut,
Mhm.
like printing and stuff like that too? What I feel like, how did you learn all this stuff? Like, how did you get into that?
Literally, like I told my husband, I said, I'm taking all my savings and I'm gonna spend it. I said, I'm not gonna do anything with this money, just sitting there. And he just looked at me like a deer in like headlights, and he's just like, "What are you talking? Like, are you serious?" So we bought an engraving machine, and we bought like a CNC machine, and just like like I said, just literally like diving into it, and just like I
Yeah.
have to learn this.
Heck yeah. And so
And
do you do a lot of business for that and that
yeah, I
side?
do a lot of people hit me like last night someone hit me up. Like I don't know why, but someone told me just stay up. And someone hit me up on Instagram and just like um wanted me to do like a couple of custom like engraved Apple Watch bands for her partner whose grandparents passed away. And she's like, "You're the only one who reached." She's like, "I hit up a," and she's from Houston.
Wow.
She's like, "You're the only one." She's like, "I reached out to a couple of them, and you're the only one who reached back out to me." She's like, "I kind of have an idea of what I want the bands to look like. Do you think you can emulate what they look like?" So it's like one of them have like La Virgen de la Guadalupe with the rosary like hanging down from it, and like her grandparents, like her partner's grandparents' picture. So it's like it takes a little bit of work to convert the picture into a bitmap file. So it's like it takes a little bit of work, but it's like for someone to entrust to you to commemoralize like something like that for her partner is like something special.
Yeah, heck yeah. Wow, that's really cool. Man, it sounds like you're doing a lot.
I know,
I could imagine, like,
I know.
it sounds like
But
there's not
I
enough hours.